What is going on, guys? Just another day in paradise out here. Just wanted to bring you out in the woods here and put you on the tripod because last time I was kind of carrying it through the woods and you couldn't get a real good view of what was going on. But we have just been in paradise out here. Now, we have been working really hard. We've been picking up a lot of trash from the previous owners, and just when we think we've got a pile picked up, I'll come along and drive over another place with my Bombardier and we'll find another pile. So this machine over here, it's a Traxxter 500. It's been, just critical for our beginning operation here. I don't have a tractor right now. My father-in-law has a tractor, but I have to go and trailer it over and then I have to take it home the same day or spend the night with it because I don't have this place secure yet. So there are just some issues like that, where this machine here I can throw on the back of my small trailer, my 10-foot trailer, and I can get it carted in and out of here until we get this place secure. That's getting better as we go along. The neighbors are almost finished with the fenced off area that, fencing off their section from ours. So that will help a lot because there was a road that, I keep calling it a road. It's actually a driveway that connected the previous owner's property to this property. Well, they kept 16 acres and we bought all the rest. So there's a lot of gullies in it and a lot of hills and elevations and rises. We're kind of in one of the tunnel of trees areas here, and the wife and I just love this. So I've been back here with the Bombardier and we're basically getting up in the back of this thing and trimming these trees up high enough where we'll be able to drive my Suburban, the Great White Buffalo, and if I decide to build back here, which could happen, we want to be as far away from the road as we can possibly be. On the other hand, when you go too far away from the road, your expense goes way, way up because you've got to run power or something back there. Now, there's a possibility that I run power to the front part of the property and just run solar and batteries on the back part and do it that way. But either way, I would have to have a well truck come down here and drill me a well back there. I would have to have a septic guy be able to get back here with heavy equipment. So the point is I'm going to have like concrete trucks and different things like that are going to have to come down this little bitty road. So for that to happen, I'm going to have to build it up and clear it out to where that can easily, work out. So anyways, we've got a lot of work to do here, and we're just kind of, when we've had too much sun, we come over here and we work in the forested area to stay out of the sun. Although it's been really hot, and when you get in here in the trees, there's no wind. So clearly you're going to sweat a lot more than you would have otherwise. So anyways, the Bombardier here, any kind of a big quad that's a utility, four-wheel drive, utility style quad runner or whatever they call them, four-wheeler, any of those are going to be really good for what we're doing here initially, which is yesterday I drug out an old boat that was down by the pond, kind of in the pond area, and I wasn't sure that this machine was going to do it. It's a 500cc, and I thought, man, I may have to bring my Suburban down here and put it in four-wheel drive. Not that it was muddy, it was just real bumpy and lumpy, and the boat had been sitting there for at least, I think it was 10 years or something like that on flat tires. So I put the Bombardier down in low. It does have a low range, which makes this machine really good for farm applications. And it also has a winch on the front. And I've been using the crap out of that winch here lately. So it has just been fantastic to have this thing. In fact, I underestimated its capabilities. The thing is just, it's been blowing me away. If I want to know what's in a certain area, but the grass is so overgrown that I don't dare run anything through it. And there's a point where I'm in an area here where we get chiggers and ticks pretty badly. So especially chiggers are terrible if you start walking through tall grass. So what I've been doing is taking that Bombardier, no trailer attached, and just running in. I'll find a place that looks where I can fairly see the ground fairly well, and I'll just run it in. And if I run it a couple of times and kind of start widening out that section, I can eventually lay that grass down, and then I can find those cinder blocks and those other things like that you wouldn't want to hit with a brush hog. So that's what we've been up to primarily. And, to be honest with you, I wanted to we're going to shift gears here a little bit. I'm trying not to go too political, but at the same time, I want to point out some different things that I've been seeing here. I've been spending a whole lot of time here on the ranch and not a lot of time around people or in civilization, let's say. Well, I've noticed that ever since, I don't know, last week when President Trump suddenly said, oh yeah, wear the mask, you should wear the mask, I've seen a whole bunch more sheeple doing that, exactly that. And honestly, now when I go into the stores, I feel kind of weird because most of the time I'm the only one that's not wearing a mask. Now, so far, no one has said anything to me. And maybe it's because, you know, I'm a little bit rough looking because I've been wearing, you know, pretty rough clothes to come out here and get dirty. And, you know, I don't know what the deal is there, but nobody said anything to me about it. But I've gotten some strange looks with what you can see over the top of their mask, you know. And honestly, because I've been doing work in the not only automotive, but just mechanical fields for the majority of my adult life. I've ran a lot of air tools. I've been around people firing guns before with no ear protection on. Just several things that have kind of damaged my hearing over the years. And this has made it extremely difficult for me to communicate with people because they're muffled now under the mask. I can't hear what they're saying because they're muffled. So it's been very difficult just doing basic transactions. And again, it's just kind of alarming to me how many people are just blindly doing it, you know. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't wear a mask. If you want to wear a mask, hey, more power to you. But don't try to make other people do it for your supposed safety and security. You know, that was one of the things our founding fathers really warned us about is don't trade liberty for safety and security, or else, you know, basically that will open the door for a tyrant to come in and take all the rest of it. So, you know, I don't know. When I see people around, it makes me raise my eyebrow, and I wonder sometimes, you know, am I on an island by myself here? And I know it's not true. I know there's other people. A lot of great people have come into the comments and really made me feel not so isolated. But, you know, when you're out here by yourself and then you suddenly go into town, it can be a little bit shocking when suddenly everyone's wearing masks. And it's just like, wow, overnight, everybody's wearing a mask. And I didn't see any signs on the store that said they were required or anything. It was just all these people voluntarily doing it. And I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. So, you know, there have been a lot of inconsistencies in all of this whole coronavirus pandemic or whatever this is, you know, but to me, it's still not as bad as far as what I know about it and the research that I've seen. It's not nearly as bad as the seasonal flu. And there are other diseases that kill many more people. I can't remember, was it tuberculosis, I believe was one of them. A year or two ago, they had a massive tuberculosis outbreak, and you didn't hear about people shutting down the economy and stuff like that. So very interesting times indeed. So yeah, my plan has been working out pretty flawlessly as far as like keeping my mind out of the news. I haven't been watching as much news lately, and it's been really good. For my mind and my spirit, and just to get in touch with nature and to be out in it. And I don't know how you guys are dealing with it or coping with it, but you know, I highly advise you to unplug from the news because at least 90% of it is fake. And that is no doubt. There is no denying that anymore. It's if nothing else, it's so agenda driven that it eliminates the other side of the argument altogether, or the possibility that there may be another side of the argument. So I can't get on board with that. And so I've been out here working and trying to build me a place here where my wife and I can, you know, eventually have a really good homestead where we provide, you know, 70 to 80% of our own food and stuff like that we can produce here. I'm not really into cattle so much. We've been talking about getting some of these pastures cleared out so that we can run sheep, goats, both of those for meat, and possibly dairy. I hear a lot of people saying that goat milk is supposed to be really good, so we might consider that, but I don't know. It sounds like a real hassle to have to milk goats every day or whatever, so I don't know. I have to think about that. I kind of like, you know, low maintenance animals that you can put out there. But like, I don't know if you guys are going to see any of it or not, but there's poison ivy all over the ground out here. And we've been going around trying to kill some of it, but they claim goats eat it like it's candy. So if you get the right animals in there, they can take out that poison ivy and then you won't have to worry about it. Although I don't seem to be very allergic to it unless I like roll around in it or something, but other people are very sensitive to it. If I walk by a plant and it kicks up the, you know, the oils or whatever, the fumes of the oils, they can get that on their skin and then catch poison ivy. And it's terrible. I'm sure you guys have had it. It's a terrible thing. So you don't want that. So we're going to get goats in here. We're looking a lot more at like electric solar panel chargers, fence chargers, so we can go out and make, you know, individual paddocks and then move them. And my wife, man, that's one of the reasons I married her. She came up with this brilliant idea. We've got all these old tires, and we were like, what are we going to do with these tires? You know, they charge you like $1.80. No, it's $2.80 a piece to get rid of the used tire today. So I'm like, you know, no, I'm going to figure out some way to put them to use. Well, I was like, hey, do you remember back when we were in school and stuff, like grade school, they would come out with these basically giant fans on a pedestal, and there'd be concrete down inside of a tire. And they would use that tire to kind of roll it around and use that. Well, my wife was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. And she goes, we could make corner posts and stuff for the animal pens, for the electric fence that we're going to be moving around. And I was like, man, that is awesome. That is a great idea. So, you know, just with a bag of concrete, a used tire, and some sort of a, you know, probably a piece of oil filled pipe, or maybe if I want to go lighter gauge, I could just get standard fence post, and boom, you've got corner posts for a electric fence. And then all you have to do is put the stays in the middle. Or if you want to go real elaborate, you can make a whole bunch of them and just, you know, use those completely. Because, you know, once you get them established on electric wire, supposedly, once you teach them about that they won't try to escape much anymore. So anyways, just been really trying to do that. We're talking about, right now it's all planning, of course, but we're talking about in the future. Of course, we already have the chickens. So that's a given. We're going to raise chickens, probably quite a few more of them than we do now. Because, you know, think about it. There's 52 weeks in the year, and we could probably easily eat one bird per week. So we need at least 52 birds to cull and feed ourselves. So, and then plus what I'd like to get into is friends and family. I'd like to be able to start growing for myself first, and then growing for friends and family, and then, you know, kind of keep it as local as I can in that way to start with. But anyways, another thing we're thinking about is ducks and turkeys. Somebody was telling me in the comments a few videos ago that ducks are supposed to be really easy to raise, and again, I'm sure there's a market for them. Rabbits is another one. Personally, right now, and you know, I don't know, maybe I have had rabbit in my life and I just don't remember it, but I've never had it. And what I'm looking for right now, before I get into raising rabbits, I want to find somebody that's already doing it, that I can buy a whole rabbit and clean it myself, or they can clean it or whatever, but I want to learn how to do it all. I want to learn how to clean it, you know, take the fur and save the fur, use every part of the animal, kind of like the Native Americans did, you know, try to get the most out of that animal. If nothing else, yeah, I'm not going to make jewelry out of the bones or anything like that, but, you know, everything that I can use that's not too labor intensive to make that happen. You know, I don't want to get into something that's going to be like, you know, way too involved, because I'm going to have so many different kinds of animals. I'm going to need to take care of all those animals. So another big one is pigs. We want to raise pigs. I'll probably start out small with just like a couple of feeder pigs, and then work my way up, and depending on what kind of market I have around here for pure organic pasture raised animals, kind of like the Joe Salatin or Joe Saladin, I can't remember how you say his name, but he's got tons of videos on YouTube about farming kind of more of a natural way, where the animals kind of work in a symbiotic fashion with the land, and that's what we want to achieve here. We want to have pure organic, you know, not pumped full of a bunch of antibiotics and a bunch of different stuff like that. We want natural food to go into our bodies. And, you know, if our families and our friends want to get in on that, we want to be able to provide them with sustenance too. So, and, you know, part of this, what's really spurred this on is because of all this lockdown and craziness and stuff that, you know, when you really get down to the brass tacks of it, you are less free in a city. The closer to a big metropolis you are, the less free you are. And if you're not willing to see that, you know, you're probably young, and young people, cities are kind of made for young people. But I think a lot of people, once they have children and stuff like that, they start to mature, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't want my kid growing up around this. You know, there's homeless people right over there peeing on the street, you know. There's a local neighborhood flasher that comes around and flashes everybody every day. There's heroin needles in the street. There's, you know, graffiti and gang stuff all over the place. You start looking around at your surroundings and you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to raise a kid here. So for you young people that are listening still, just go ahead and skip all that bull crap and go out into the country and buy yourself some land as soon as you can, because it ain't making any more, and it ain't getting any cheaper, that's for sure. Unless we have some massive die-off, and I quite frankly don't think the coronavirus is going to be the cause of that massive die-off. It kind of looks to be, you know, along the lines of H1N1 swine flu and stuff like that, but they're reacting to it like it really is a real plague. You know, one of the things that really bugs me about that, and I'll wrap the video here on this, just for food for thought for you guys. During the Revolution in the United States, you know, leading up to 1776, they had one of the worst epidemics. They didn't call it a pandemic, but it was called an epidemic. They called it the pox back then. It was actually smallpox, and it killed so many more people than what this coronavirus has even dreamed of killing, that it's just unbelievable. I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head, but it killed a ton of people. And I was watching the John Adams series on HBO. That's how I originally learned about it. You know, they may have brushed over it in history class in 7th grade or something, but, you know, I've forgotten that since then. But that John Adams show, they talked about it, and they had to inoculate each other with the pox, the smallpox, so that the army, you know, they were being devastated. George Washington said some stuff about it. His troops were being devastated. And they came up with this inoculation thing, and it saved a whole bunch of lives, but I'm sure it killed some too. But they were able to go on, and, you know, they didn't shut down the country. That's the point of it. They were, you know, individualists, rugged individualists. And I suggest that we all get back to that, because you can't count on daddy government, especially as crazy as they've been acting lately. And, you know, even that, Trump saying we should wear a mask, you know, he's losing me on some of this stuff. I don't know if he's trying to pander to the maskies and the sheeple. I don't know what the deal is there. It's probably a political ploy, but I don't dig it, not one bit. He should have stuck with his guns, and he needs to run Fauci off. But first, before he runs Fauci off, they need to investigate him and figure out why he's got his fingers on every end of this coronavirus. Him and Bill Gates and George Soros, all those people need to be down at Guantanamo Bay right now. But probably ain't going to happen because they're elitists. So, guys, I'm going to go back to enjoying nature and thinking about all this stuff and trying to figure it out, because I don't want to be caught with my pants down. Hope you don't either. And as I've said before, I stand for liberty, and I hope you do too. We'll see you next time.